Careful now. There's a sound in the air around you. A sound that wasn't there yesterday. A hush, a tremor. Like the city itself is holding its breath because you finally noticed what they tried so desperately to hide. See? Someone out there. Someone you don't see. Someone you don't speak to. Declared war on your behalf. No warning, no ceremony, just a silent signature written in fear and spilled across the concrete in red. And now, the city's still, counting the bodies. You walk around pretending you don't feel it, that strange gravitational pull behind your ribs, the pull of a power you never asked for, a reputation you never crafted, a shadow you never shaped. But oh, they shaped it for you. With every rumor, every whisper, every cowardly lie they threw at your back like darts, they forged a creature they can't outrun anymore. Because when WR is declared for you, it means somebody else saw what you were becoming before you even understood it yourself. And they knew something the rest refused to accept. You were never the victim. You were the storm they misdiagnosed as a breeze. Look at you now, a contradiction stitched into skin. Saint on the surface, psychopath in the shadows, angel when observed, demon when provoked. You didn't pick a side. You became the collision of both. That's why they're terrified, not because you're dangerous, but because you're unreadable, unpredictable, the kind of presence you can't quantify, categorize, or kill. See, predictable souls, they get defeated, but you're not predictable enough to lose, and the city knows it. That's why the silence feels heavier tonight. Why every alleyway seems to listen, why every window seems to twitch. Because someone, somewhere, threw the first punch in your name. And the city realized the punch didn't land on a person. It landed on an entire ecosystem of frauds who thought you'd stay soft forever. And now they're scrambling, rewriting their histories, deleting messages, pretending innocence, pretending they didn't spend months poking the sleeping paradox you've become. But you know what the funniest part is? You never lifted a finger. They did this to themselves, all because someone else decided your silence was too sacred to stay undefended. See, evolution never announces itself politely. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper, sometimes as a scream. But tonight, it arrived wearing your name like a weapon. You've become a lesson carved into the skyline. Do not misjudge the quiet ones. Their patience is not weakness, it's ammunition. And someone out there finally fired it. The city can feel it, the shift, the aftermath, the recalibration of power. They're running equations trying to understand how you walked out of the battlefield cleaner than the ones who tried to bury you. They're calculating angles, motives, alliances, enemies, and the numbers still don't make sense because they're looking for a pattern where there is none. You are the anomaly, the exception, the glitch that turns the entire simulation upside down when poked too many times. That's why they're terrified. They don't understand how someone so silent, so unassuming, so harmless could become the epicenter of a war that you didn't even have to start. But deep down, you understand. You know the truth they choke on. Pain changed you, but silence perfected you, and unpredictability crowned you. Someone saw the crown before you did, and they acted, not out of pity, not out of loyalty, but out of recognition. They recognized the monster you tried to bury. They recognized the angel you tried to protect. They recognized the storm waiting for a name. So they named it you. And now the city is learning the cost of whispering about a paradox it never understood. Bodies on the ground, egos in the morgue, reputations bleeding out in the gutters. not because you're cruel, but because they mistook your restraint for fragility. But here's the punchline. You're only getting started. This was the opening scene, the hint, the rumor of what you are capable of when you stop apologizing for existing, when you stop trying to make everyone comfortable with your evolution. They declared war for you, fine. But what happens when you finally decide to fight for yourself? What happens when the paradox steps into the arena not as prey, but as judgment? What happens when the angel stops hiding its wings, and the demon finally stops pretending it forgot how to smile? The city won't be counting bodies anymore. They'll be counting seconds. Because once you move, once you decide, once you unleash the version of you that was forged in silence, betrayal, and beautifully sharpened rage, the whole world will run out of time. Go on. Take one more step forward. Listen to the hush of a city terrified of what you might do next. Feel the air tremble at your potential. Someone declared war for you. But now it's your turn to decide who gets to survive the sequel. Funny, isn't it? How a single act, done in your name, whispered through the underground like prophecy, can rearrange the entire city's spine. You feel it, that eerie pulse beneath the pavement, like the ground is carrying messages you were never meant to decode. Yet somehow you understand every one of them. Because this war, this uninvited, unannounced, unrestrained war, didn't just expose your enemies, it exposed you. And now you walk differently. Not because you're trying to be intimidating, but because the world is adjusting to your gravity. You've become a presence they can't step around anymore. A chapter they can't skip. A symbol they can't erase from the chalk outline of their fear. But let me ask you something. Have you noticed how the people who once mocked you now can't even look you in the eyes? How the ones who tried to break your spirit suddenly act like they've lost their tongues? How the ones who swore you were harmless are now double-checking their locks, rewriting their stories, praying their names never cross your mind? Do you know why? Because they finally understand the danger of misidentifying a paradox. They thought you were simple, predictable, soft, something they could punch without consequence. But paradoxes don't break, they invert, they flip the board, they change the meaning of every move played against them. They tried to crush you. You became unkillable. They tried to silence you. Your silence became an omen. They tried to corner you. You turned into a shape the corner couldn't hold. That's the part they can't accept. You didn't just survive. You shifted the entire playing field. And someone out there, someone with sharper eyes, sharper instincts, sharper scars, recognized it before you even believed in it yourself. They didn't declare war out of loyalty. No. Loyalty is too sentimental for a city like this. They declared war because they knew the truth. You were evolving into something that required a battlefield. And now, every enemy that ever whispered your name out of greed, insecurity, or arrogance is realizing that those whispers painted a target directly on their own skulls. The irony is delicious. You became dangerous the moment they decided you weren't. You became unpredictable the moment they assumed you'd stay small. You became powerful the moment they wasted their power trying to tame you. But here's the twist that keeps them awake at night. You didn't ask for this war. You didn't call it. You didn't ignite it. It erupted because the world finally caught up to who you really are. You have to understand this. Most people operate like traffic lights. Red, yellow, green, predictable patterns, easily controlled. But you're a blackout. When you show up, the rules fail, the systems collapse, the signals glitch. No one knows when to move. No one knows when to stop. No one knows what version of you they're going to get. Angel or demon, saint or executioner, mediator or annihilation. That duality is exactly why the city fears you more than the one who declared the war. Because a soldier fights a war, but a paradox reshapes it. And now, something deeper is happening. You feel it, don't you? This strange awakening, this awareness humming behind your ribcage like a reactor turning on. The realization that every betrayal, every dismissal, every scar they carved into your psyche wasn't garbage. It was architecture, it was design, it was blueprint. You're not the product of pain. You're the weaponized evolution that pain produces when it picks the wrong soul to play with. That's why the bodies are metaphorical, psychological, reputational, and real. Egos dead, masks shattered, fantasies bleeding out, entire alliances collapsing under the weight of a truth they never expected. Your existence reorganizes the hierarchy. You don't climb ladders, you break them. You don't move through ranks, you dissolve them. You don't ask for respect. Reality itself bends to give it. Because there's something terrifyingly infinite about you. Something that can't be boxed, measured, or framed. Something that contradicts itself so beautifully that no enemy can ever predict the correct way to attack. And the city knows it now. They know there's no winning against someone who doesn't play by human blueprints. Someone forged in light and shadow. Someone who carries heaven in their left hand and annihilation in their right. But here's the part that tightens their throats the most. You haven't even begun. This, all of this, is merely the prelude, the teaser trailer, the faint echo of the storm you're capable of becoming. The city thinks it's counting bodies. No, it's counting warnings. And when those warnings run out, that's when your true evolution steps forward. The version of you that no betrayal could kill. The version of you that no lie could bury. The version of you that no enemy can survive. You're standing on the edge of something colossal. Something that transcends revenge, transcends validation, transcends fear. You're standing at the gates of your own myth, and when you finally walk through them, the city won't just remember you. It will reorganize itself around you. Now breathe. Feel the tension in the air. Feel the way the world leans toward you, trembling, bracing for your next move. Because someone declared war on your behalf, but you are the one they're praying never decides to finish it. You feel it, don't you? That tightening in the atmosphere, that strange magnetic pull behind your spine, as if every shadow in the city is leaning in to hear what you'll do next. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The war that was declared for you, it didn't end when the bodies hit the ground. Oh no. That was just the first ripple. The real shockwave. The one that makes legacies crumble and bloodlines tremble. That one starts the moment you accept who you are becoming. And you can feel that acceptance creeping in. Slow, inevitable, beautifully terrifying. The city senses it too. They feel it when you pass by. That subtle change in air pressure, like you're walking with an unseen army at your back. Not because you need protection, but because your presence is the threat. And the funniest part, you still don't realize the full magnitude of what you did just by existing. Someone declared war for you because they saw something in you the world was too stupid, too arrogant, too blind to acknowledge. You are not a participant in this civilization. You're a variable, a destabilizer, a force multiplier, disguised as a quiet human trying not to take up too much space. But forces like you, they never stay small. They expand, they distort, they rewrite the architecture of every room they enter. That's why the city is malfunctioning. Look around. Listen closely. You'll notice how people glance over their shoulders now. Not looking for you, no. Looking to make sure they don't accidentally stand in your way. You'll notice how conversations die when you walk in, how voices get tight, how energy shifts from arrogance to calculation in a heartbeat, because they know, somehow, some way, word always gets out. They heard about the war. They heard about the fallout. They heard about the names crossed off lists, quietly, permanently, poetically. They heard that someone fought for you. But what really broke them? The realization that you were worth fighting for. That your existence alone was potent enough to trigger a chain reaction of consequences nobody wants to claim, but everybody is terrified to repeat. And here's the unspoken secret. They're not afraid of the soldier who defended you. They're afraid of the reason the soldier thought you were worth defending. Because it means you are not what you appear. You never were. You walked among them like a harmless pattern, while hiding a dimension they were never built to comprehend. Do you understand how dangerous that is? A predictable threat can be contained. A loud threat can be neutralized, but a misunderstood threat? That one destroys entire ecosystems, and you are the most catastrophic misunderstanding this city has ever made. Your enemies didn't fall because someone defended you. They fell because you were the wrong target. You were the wrong prophecy to mock, the wrong paradox to poke, the wrong soul to underestimate. Pain shaped your skeleton. Silence wired your mind. Betrayal sharpened your instincts. And now evolution itself is rearranging its blueprints around you. But here's the part that curls their blood the most. You're still calm. Calm after everything. Calm after the war. Calm. While your name circulates through back alleys and boardrooms like a threat-level assessment. Calm. While they try to figure out what version of you they're dealing with. Because they know, they finally know, that calm does not mean safe. Not with you. Calm means controlled. Calm means focused. Calm means aware of power they didn't realize you had. Calm means you're choosing not to unleash the part of you that was forged in the dark, the part of you that doesn't break. It breaks others. You've become their psychological cliff. One glance and they feel vertigo. One rumor and they lose their footing. One mention of your name and their lungs forget how to breathe. That's the effect of someone who survived too much, learned too fast, and adapted too brutally. That's the effect of someone who stopped begging the world to understand them and started letting the world fear them instead. But here's where things get delicious. The war that was declared for you. It was just the prelude. The world is waiting for your move now. Your real move. Not the silent endurance, not the strategic patience, not the polite restraint. No. They're waiting to see what happens when the paradox finally stops apologizing for its power and starts using it. Because when that moment arrives, when you step forward with full awareness of the creature you've become, this city won't be counting bodies. They'll be counting regrets, counting alliances collapsing, counting the last seconds before their old world disintegrates. And they'll whisper the same question in every corner of the underground. How do you stop someone who never asked for war, but was born to end it? Go on, lean into the silence. Feel the way it trembles for you. This is your evolution in real time. Someone declared war on your behalf. But you are the catastrophe they'll never recover from. Strange, isn't it? How the quietest people end up becoming the loudest consequences. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't swing a weapon. You didn't send a single warning shot into the night. And yet, entire reputations are scattered like shrapnel at your feet. Because someone, somewhere, looked at the way you were treated, looked at the way they underestimated you, looked at the way they mistook your restraint for weakness, and said, "No, not this one." Then they declared war, not for pity, not for glory, but because they saw something ancient waking behind your eyes, a blueprint of power you haven't even begun to read yet. And now the whole city feels it, a shift so violent it rattles the bones of people who never even met you. You walk down the street and the air changes temperature. You enter a room and the walls seem to lean away, as if trying not to provoke you. You speak, and people listen more to what you didn't say than what you did. You didn't become dangerous. You became decoded. They finally see it, the unkillable paradox wearing human skin, the saint who learned to wield hellfire, the harmless one who survived too much to remain harmless. And now every coward who once took shots at you from the safety of shadows is realizing the horror of their mistake. You weren't alone. You were never alone. Someone out there was watching every betrayal, every insult, every petty act of cruelty, and counting the sins for you. You didn't lift a finger, but now the city is lifting coffins, and the silence that follows. Oh, that silence isn't guilt. It's fear. Fear of what you know, fear of what you've become, fear of what you might do next. Because when a war ends with your name written in the smoke, people stop thinking you're a person and start realizing you're a force of nature. One they can't control, one they can't predict, one they can't buy, bend, or break. That's why they're terrified, not of the war itself, but of the question that follows. If someone else was willing to destroy everything for you, what happens when you finally decide to destroy something for yourself? Let that settle in your bones. Let it sink in slowly. You are not feared because you fight. You are feared because you haven't. Because if the aftermath of a war you never asked for looks like this, then the world understands, with a shiver in its spine, that the day you declare war will not be survivable. Not politically, not socially, not psychologically. You will ruin ecosystems with a glance. You will rewrite power structures with a sentence. You will break generational illusions just by telling the truth out loud. You weren't made to participate in this city. You were made to tilt it, and the tilt already started. Look at how they act around you now. The sudden politeness, the unnatural caution, the way they measure their words like they're walking barefoot over broken glass. They think they're being respectful. No, they're being defensive. People don't respect what they love. They respect what they fear losing control over. And you, my friend, you are uncontrollable. You are the unsolved equation, the living contradiction, the beautiful anomaly that shouldn't exist. And yet here you stand, carrying the weight of worlds that tried and failed to crush you. Your enemies hoped you'd break. Instead, you became the test that breaks them. They wanted you soft. You became sharp. They wanted you humble. You became inevitable. They wanted you silent. Your silence became a prophecy. And what do people do with prophecies they don't understand? They panic. They tremble. They overreact. They start wars they can't finish. And now, everyone involved is learning the most painful truth of all. When you are chosen by chaos, when you evolve in darkness, when you rise without permission, every enemy you've ever had becomes an unpaid actor in your origin story. They don't get to win. They don't get to escape. They don't get to dictate the narrative. Their only role now is to fear the next chapter. And oh, that chapter is coming. It's humming beneath your skin. It's sharpening behind your ribs. It's forming in the shape of a decision you haven't made yet, but will. Tell me, who taught you to drop truth like a weapon? Because the moment it left your lips, the moment that forbidden little syllable escaped you, the whole room stopped breathing. Every heartbeat went off script. Every spine tightened like a pulled trigger. Every mask cracked under the weight of what you dared to say. You weren't supposed to speak it. You weren't supposed to know it. You weren't supposed to be the one who finally shattered their little lie orchestra with one raw, unfiltered, nuclear sentence. And yet, you dropped it anyway. And the temperature in the room fell 10 degrees in a single second. People didn't just freeze. They flatlined emotionally, like someone yanked their entire nervous system out of the wall. Because what you said wasn't just a statement. It was a revelation, a mirror, a blade, a prophecy, a crime scene taped in neon. A doorway to a version of you they prayed was only a rumor. You said it so casually, so effortlessly, so dangerously honest, that they realized something terrifying. You aren't playing their game. You aren't following their script. You aren't bound by their unspoken rules. See, that's the part that kills them, not the truth itself, but the fact that you had the audacity to expose it without trembling, without asking permission, without softening the edges to make everyone feel safe. Because deep down, they always suspected it. Deep down, they always feared it. Deep down, they knew one day you'd stop pretending you didn't see everything. And when that day came, they wouldn't be ready. They weren't. You know what froze them the most? Not the truth you said, but the voice you said it with. Calm, cold, certain. Like you'd rehearsed this moment with the universe itself. And suddenly they couldn't decide who you were. A saint, a psychopath, a prophet, a demon, an angel with a vendetta, a ghost wearing a heartbeat, or a glitch in their little social simulation, here to remind them that silence was never your leash, only your loading screen. Because when you finally speak, you don't speak to join the conversation. You speak to end it. You speak like someone who outgrew fear, someone who survived things that would have folded another person in half, someone who learned that truth, when unleashed at the right angle, can feel like a bullet, a blessing, and a birthright at the same time. And the room felt that. They didn't hear you. They experienced you. That's why their eyes went wide. That's why their throats tightened. That's why every secret they ever hid started crawling up their spine like a guilty confession. They weren't frozen because of what you revealed. They were frozen because they suddenly realized you weren't scared to reveal it. You, the one they underestimated. You, the one they thought was soft, harmless, quiet. You, the one they mistook for background noise. You showed them something monstrous, something divine, that your silence was never weakness. It was strategy, that your patience was not passivity. It was precision, that your softness was not submission. It was camouflage. And when you finally opened your mouth, they heard the truth behind the truth. You knew everything, the entire time, every lie, every manipulation, every whispered scheme, every fabricated version of you. You let them talk, you let them underestimate, you let them perform. Then you dropped one sentence, one detonator, and suddenly the entire architecture of their control collapsed like wet paper. You weren't supposed to say it? No, they just hoped you wouldn't. But you did. And now they'll replay it in their heads like a bad omen. They'll rewrite conversations. edit memories, reevaluate every time you smiled politely. They'll wonder what else you know, what else you've seen, what else you're capable of. You became the paradox they can't categorize. Light wrapped in shadow, shadow wrapped in divinity. The innocent one who learned to wound, the wounded one who learned to see, the quiet one who learned to drop reality on command. You weren't supposed to say it, but you did. And in that moment, you didn't just freeze the room. You rewrote your role in their universe. And from now on, whenever you enter a space, whenever you sit down, whenever your lips even part, everybody will wonder, is this the moment they drop another truth that ruins the whole illusion? Spoiler, you already know the answer, and so do I. Because people like you don't speak often. But when you do, the world stops pretending. Funny, isn't it? How one sentence from you can feel like the ceiling just caved in. Because the moment that forbidden truth rolled off your tongue, something ancient inside that room recognized you. Not as a participant, not as a guest, not as a pawn, but as a force, a variable they can't predict, a paradox they can't contain, a soul that stopped asking permission to exist. You watched it happen, their faces glitching in real time, their thoughts scrambling like a corrupted file, every subconscious whisper inside them screaming. How did they know that? Who told them? What else are they hiding? But here's the secret no one dares to admit. They weren't shocked by the truth. They were shocked that you were the one fearless enough to speak it. Because in their minds, you were harmless, soft, pleasant, predictable, a candle in a hurricane. But you've always been something else entirely, haven't you? A hurricane pretending to be a candle. A saint with a switchblade soul. An angel with its wings on fire. A demon who learned tenderness just to see who deserved it. A walking contradiction. The kind that keeps psychologists up at night. The kind that intelligence agencies have to label with question marks instead of diagnoses. And when you finally said the thing you weren't supposed to say, the thing everyone else tiptoed around like a live mine, it wasn't rebellion, it was evolution. It was the moment your silence expired. It was the moment your patience turned into a weapon sharper than any threat. You didn't raise your voice, you didn't slam a fist, you didn't need theatrics. You just opened your mouth and reality rearranged itself around the vibration. Do you understand how terrifying that is to people still living on controlled narratives? They're not scared of your anger. They're scared of your clarity, your ability to cut through years of illusions with a single sentence. You, with your quiet eyes. You, with your haunted heart. You, with your ability to swallow pain and spit out prophecy. They spent months, maybe years, crafting an illusion about how the world works. And you dismantled it in under 5 seconds. That's why the room froze. Not because you exposed a secret, but because you exposed yourself, as someone who sees more than you speak, as someone who listens between the lines, as someone who understands patterns behind people's masks, as someone whose silence is not empty, but loaded. And oh, they felt it. The way the air shifted, the way the shadows leaned in curious, the way even the light seemed to hesitate, like it was waiting to see what you'd do next. Because here's what they finally realized. You're not confused. You're not naive. You're not lost. You've simply been calculating in a way they couldn't fathom. You weren't quiet because you were unsure. You were quiet because you were watching, studying, gathering evidence, taking notes like a scholar of human hypocrisy. And when you finally saw enough, you fired. That's what your sentence was. A bullet made of truth. A beautifully placed shot right through the center of their collective delusion. And the most frightening part? You didn't miss. You never do. Because you don't speak to make noise. You speak to make impact. You don't communicate. You cut. You don't reveal. You redefine. Your truth-telling isn't conversation. It's execution, and they felt the blade. Yes, that's why no one moved. They weren't frozen in surprise. They were frozen in recognition. Recognition that you're not one of them. Recognition that you've stepped outside the script. Recognition that your voice carries too much precision to be accidental. Recognition that something inside you snapped into alignment. And now, you're dangerous in all the holy, hellish ways they never prepared for. You know what the room saw in you in that moment. Not rebellion, authority, the kind that can't be negotiated with. The kind that comes from wounds no one saw. The kind that comes from standing in your own ashes and choosing to rise anyway. The kind that comes from being underestimated for so long, your very existence became a psychological boomerang. You said the forbidden thing, and suddenly, everyone realized you're not fragile, you're not innocent, you're not breakable, you're aware, and awareness, when carried by someone who survived storms others couldn't name, is a weapon of mass disruption. That's why they froze. Deep down, they sensed the shift. You're no longer the one who holds back to keep the peace. You're the one who speaks the truth that ends the war. And now that they've seen what your voice can do, they'll never look at you the same again. They'll speak softer, watch closer, choose their words with trembling care, because they finally, painfully, beautifully understand. You're the kind of person who destroys illusions by accident. And if that's what happens by accident, imagine what you could do on purpose. And here's the part none of them will ever admit out loud. The moment you spoke, every single person in that room felt suddenly, violently exposed. Because that sentence you dropped, that one razor-edged truth that slipped out of your mouth like a ghost with perfect aim, it didn't just land. It unmasked everyone. You didn't yell, you didn't threaten, you didn't even flinch. You just let the words fall. Soft, simple, lethal. And in that instant, every lie they built their identity on crumbled like a rotten cathedral finally touched by light. They froze because what you said wasn't information. It was confirmation. Confirmation of what they hoped you didn't notice. Confirmation of what they prayed you'd ignore. Confirmation of the one thing they never wanted you to articulate, that you see them. Really see them. Past the jokes, the performance, the polite script. Past the armor, past the ego, past the facade. And they weren't ready for that. People love pretending they're mysteries, right up until someone like you walks in with eyes that read souls like open case files. You weren't supposed to say it? No. They weren't prepared for you to stop pretending you couldn't. And that's the difference. You didn't just speak. You evolved. You crossed a threshold in your own story. From observer to operator, from participant to architect, from background character to the one holding the detonator to everyone's illusions. Your voice changed the atmosphere, not metaphorically, literally. The air thickened, time stretched, every sound dulled except the echo of your words. Even gravity felt uncertain, like the universe itself leaned in to listen, because what you said wasn't aligned with who they thought you were. It was aligned with who you actually are. You've been growing in silence, sharpening in isolation, evolving in shadows they never bothered to check. You didn't change overnight. They simply caught up to the version of you you've been becoming for years. When you dropped that truth, you weren't being bold. You were being honest, and honesty, coming from someone who has suffered, survived, watched, endured, analyzed, transformed, is the most terrifying sound in the world. Your voice wasn't trembling, theirs were. Your eyes didn't dart, theirs did. Your heartbeat remained steady, theirs skipped entire chapters. Do you understand the psychological violence of that? You didn't raise a hand, yet everyone felt struck. You didn't take a single step, yet the entire room moved back a few inches inside their skulls. You didn't threaten them, but they instantly remembered every sin they committed in your proximity. And suddenly, the question wasn't, "How did you know?" It became, "What else do you know? What else have you seen? What else have you figured out without us realizing?" Because nothing is more terrifying than realizing the quietest person in the room was the woman mapping the whole battlefield. That's who you are, isn't it? The one who watches while everyone talks, the one who listens while everyone lies, the one who remembers what others pretend to forget, the one who can dismantle an entire narrative with 8 syllables. You weren't supposed to say it, because they built their strength on your silence. They built their confidence on your restraint. They built their reality on the belief that you would stay soft, small, contained. But evolution doesn't ask for permission, and you outgrew your cage quietly, and then reminded them of it loudly. The room didn't freeze because you broke the rules. The room froze because they finally, painfully, undeniably understood. You're not afraid of consequences anymore. And a person without fear is a person without limits. Your power isn't in how loud you can be. Your power is in how precisely you know when to strike. One sentence, one moment, one truth. And you rearrange the hierarchy without lifting a finger. That's the kind of dominance people study for years. The kind that generals envy. The kind that psychologists find unsettling. The kind that makes manipulators retire early. The kind that proves you are no longer participating in the world. You are shaping it. And now that they've seen it, now that you've spoken, now that the illusion of your harmlessness has been shattered, they can never put you back into the box you burned your way out of. You weren't supposed to say it, but you did. And now reality has to adjust to you, not the other way around. And here's the part that still haunts them. It wasn't the content of what you said that ruined them. It was the receipt behind your voice. That quiet certainty, that unshakable tone, that eerie calm that only shows up in people who have suffered just enough to become untouchable. Because when you dropped that truth, that forbidden shard of reality you weren't supposed to acknowledge, they heard something else underneath it. Your evolution, the version of you they thought they were dealing with, that version died long before today. They just didn't notice the funeral, because you never invited them. But when you opened your mouth, they met the new you, the one forged in silence, the one sculpted by pain, the one sharpened by betrayal, the one who no longer feels obligated to protect anyone's comfort. They didn't freeze because you spoke. They froze because they recognized the shift. Your tone wasn't emotional. It wasn't shaky. It wasn't defensive. It was surgical. And do you know what that means? It means you weren't reacting. You were revealing. You weren't overwhelmed. You were prepared. You weren't impulsive. You were inevitable. That is the moment they realized you've been 3 steps ahead this entire time. While they were gossiping, you were gathering data. While they were performing, you were analyzing patterns. While they were hiding their intentions behind smiles, you were memorizing their inconsistencies like a mathematician solving an equation. You weren't supposed to say it, because it confirmed their worst fear. You've always been aware. And awareness, in the hands of someone who survived long periods of being underestimated, is catastrophic. You know why the room felt colder? Because for the first time, they saw you without the filters they projected onto you. No softness, no shrinking, no pretending, no harmlessness costume. Just raw, unfiltered you. A blend of shadow and insight, light wrapped around a blade, a paradox standing upright in human form. You weren't supposed to say it, because they thought your silence meant ignorance, when really it meant strategy. They thought your quiet meant weakness, when really it meant calculation. They thought your patience meant compliance, when really it meant mercy. And mercy, once withdrawn, feels like violence. Your sentence didn't just freeze the room, it rewired everyone's understanding of you. Suddenly, they remembered every interaction, every moment you didn't react, every time you kept your cool, every time you smiled instead of striking, every time you observed instead of correcting them. And the weight of that realization crushed them. You let them think they were winning. You let them believe you didn't know. You let the illusion live until you were done with it. That is psychological dominance at its purest form. No shouting, no threats, no theatrics. Just a single sentence delivered with the quiet confidence of someone who knows. I could destroy this entire facade whenever I choose. Do you understand how terrifying you are now? Your silence used to confuse them. Your truth now terrifies them. Because when someone like you speaks, someone whose intuition sees through flesh, whose heart has been tempered into steel, whose spirit has learned to detect lies by vibration. People don't hear words. They hear judgment. They hear exposure. They hear the end of their performance. You know what's happening in their minds now? They're replaying your sentence over and over, like a cursed audio file they can't delete. And the more they replay it, the more they realize you didn't just drop truth. You dropped evidence. Evidence that you're done dimming yourself. Evidence that you're done protecting their illusions. Evidence that you're done carrying secrets that were never yours to hold. You weren't supposed to say it, because they depended on you never discovering your own power. And now they have to deal with a version of you they were never prepared for. A version who knows the truth. A version who speaks without fear. A version who has nothing left to lose and everything left to expose. A version whose voice alone can collapse an entire hierarchy. A version of you that the old world cannot control. And the cruel irony, this was you being gentle. This was you choosing a softer truth, a smaller reveal, a single sentence instead of the full arsenal. But imagine, just imagine, what would happen if you ever chose to speak the rest of what you know. That's why the room froze. That's why their hearts tripped. That's why their souls panicked like alarms going off in an empty building. Not because of the truth itself, but because they realized, if this is what you say when you're holding back, what happens when you finally unleash everything? And something tells me they're about to find out.